Hello and welcome to the Jeff and Jamie feed. We are so glad to have you here with us. Today, we are going to be talking about beverages. This podcast is all about food and beverage, but today we're going to be talking about specifically about beverage.
One of my favorite topics.
I know, and it's beer, but we're going to dive into beverage in a lot of different ways because there's some great stories that I think we're going to learn from our guests today.
Well, it is a little apropos that we are at Growler's Pourhouse, one of Charlotte's original small craft beer places, and we have Todd and Suzie from NoDa Brewing on today.
I know, and I'm so excited because their business, like ours, like any business these days, has had to evolve a tremendous amount. And I mean, you look at the beer industry where it was when they first started, which is when we opened Growlers in 2009, 2010.
We're kind of siblings because we
right.
we did this all together at the same time, and we all believed in NoDa as a neighborhood, and we got it fired up. It's great.
Yes, well, let's dive on in with them about a variety of topics on beverages, and we've got a lot to learn today.
I have one lovely topic that I can't wait to razz you
Let's
about.
do this. Welcome onto the program, Todd and Suzie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And
We're
we were
excited.
just saying that you are wearing a headset here, which you're used to, not for podcasts, but your life has taken a little bit of a turn.
Well, yeah, we've been doing our passion for the last 15 years, but there's a time to sort of step back from it and let the next generation take over. So for the last three and a half years, I've gone back to aviation. So I've been wearing a headset for that. But I'm really excited to be back talking about beer and talking about the OG craft beer scene, which where we're sitting today. This is pretty exciting.
It's so much fun. We would love to dive into just the origins of it because we were starting Growler's Pourhouse right around the same time you guys were opening up NoDa Brewing in this same neighborhood.
Yep, right down the street. Our original location, the OG, is at 26 or was at 26th and North Davidson, so just a few blocks away. It's funny, I was telling Jamie as I was driving here, I was kind of reminiscing about the good old days, late 2010, early 2011, when we just came up with the idea of the brewery, came up with the name, and we're shocked that the name wasn't already taken because craft beer was starting to really boom. And it's like, this has to be taken. Okay, it's not taken. We're taking it.
Well,
and we're rolling.
Our first choice was Blind Squirrel. That was already taken. That's a good beer trivia question for those of you out there, but no.
Oh my gosh.
And NoDa was just a perfect name. Unfortunately for us, we didn't realize that we technically weren't in the NoDa neighborhood at the time.
Right.
Our first patrons made us aware of that.
I know. As neighborhoods are very clear. You were Villa Heights, right?
We weren't even Villa Heights. We were in Optimus Park, I believe.
Edge of Optimus.
Yep.
Yeah.
The very edge.
I consider. I mean, that's
Well,
walkable.
Villa Heights then claimed us next. And
Okay.
I think Optimus went ahead and bowed out and said, okay, you're Villa Heights.
That's great. People are claiming you guys. I don't know if anyone would
really-
claim us.
Yeah, it was kind of funny and, kind of like a badge of honor that, you want us to be your brewery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Well, and how did you even get started? I mean, did you guys have a background in this? How in the world did you begin?
Yes and no. So Todd was a chemistry major by education, graduated Washington and Lee a couple years ago.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You were an awesome home brewer, weren't you?
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
I think I've had one of your home brews.
you
at
Oh, I'm
probably
sure you
have.
have. Here.
Yeah.
I'm sure we
Yeah.
bought some here.
Yeah.
I would have been honored to bring them by.
Yeah, I think
I don't know
I've
how
had
the
some of your
legality
home-
of that. I'm sure we were in the parking lot or something like that. And we were just for sensory purposes. What do you think of this beer? That type of thing.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
But-
so he never put the chemistry into education or into practice professionally, started flying. So fast forward, he discovered Sierra Nevada Pale Ale out west when he was flying, got the homebrew bug, went to the local homebrew shop, bought some ingredients, started homebrewing. We're a second marriage, a blended family. So when the first time I came home from work when he was brewing, I will never forget. I walk in the door and I'm like, I love beer, obviously. I'm like, what is this smell? And he said his mind was, oh, there goes the hobby. She hates
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And I'm like, I love it. This should be perfume.
I love that. She's
like
I
getting-
knew the wheels had changed at that point. The direction had changed when she said she enjoyed that smell. I pretty much thought that was the last time I was going to be brewing inside the house. We could be relegated to the downstairs garage or something like that. But
Which you eventually were.
yeah, but no, it was fun to get back into home brewing. I kind of took a 8 or 9 year hiatus because of my kids' ages and soccer practices and and rehearsals and stuff you're doing. You're busy with the children, and the home brewing just kind of got put into the boxes. The homebrew equipment got put into boxes. But when Susie and I got married, our kids were older and they were in high school or junior high, and so it was an opportunity to go back to trying this hobby back out. And she actually embraced it as well. She would be the coconut roaster for the coconut porter, and little did she know that she was committing herself to a much bigger job.
Yes, she sure was.
So, but it was actually her idea to begin with, too, to take it to a professional level. I don't know that I would have ever come to that point. It's not that I didn't love it. It's just I don't think I ever looked at it as a possibility as a professional career.
Right. Well, it was 2010, and the craft beer world was changing fast. We had house parties, and as you have parties, people want to come back, so they tell you how great the beer is, or food.
They want to come back.
Especially if it's free.
It's
free.
free. It's cold, unlimited supply, and people kept telling us, you should open a brewery. You should open a brewery, and we're like, nah. Well, fast forward a little bit, and Todd's airline was bought out. My bank was bought out. And we're like, you know what? Why not? Let's check this out. So there were really only 2 other breweries in Charlotte,
Right.
Four Friends and OMB. And Four Friends, unfortunately, is no longer around.
Yep.
And OMB is thriving as well.
Yeah,
But
you guys got in right.
We got
right
in.
at the perfect time on the ground floor.
We really did. And we were a little bit bigger than Four Friends, about the same size as OMB. OMB did lagers, we did ales, so there really wasn't any crossover. And
Is there any crossover now?
yes, lots. Yeah, lots.
I think we do everything now, and so does OMP.
But I love, from the start as we were growing and trying to make every single thing scratch made, and even now we try to make everything except for the ketchup.
Yeah.
But you guys, you Susie roasting the coconut and also taking the time to roast the pumpkin in your gorgeous pumpkin beer. But like you just see those little touches and that you guys are trying to do everything right and everything homemade and everything from scratch, and I think that really shows.
Yeah, and that's what craft beer was all about, and that's what differentiated us from the macro beers.
I can assure you that when we were coming up with initial beer styles and flavors and things like that, we did not think too far in advance about large production, because we would not have made those beers
Right.
to begin with. They would have been a completely different selection.
Gorgeous has to be like a huge.
It is.
And you're having to source pumpkin at a time of the year when pumpkins aren't necessarily available quite yet. So you're buying last year's canned pumpkins and things like that. But when we were making it as home brewers, we're going to the farmer's market and getting the pumpkins off the table.
It edges earlier and earlier
Right,
every year,
yeah.
and you guys have to be a month or 2 ahead. So it's crazy.
Yeah, we're releasing it in July. I mean,
Because
Yeah.
everybody wants
everybody
it
wants it earlier, and we
Yeah.
were
The pumpkin spice latte keeps moving up too.
we were
So-
pumpkin purists to start out with. Todd's like, we're not releasing it till October when it's cold and fall. And as you know, we did that, and we didn't get any tap handles because everyone had already
Everyone.
committed
Right.
back in
Yeah.
July. So we've had to adjust. But also with Gorgeous, kind of funny, that was Chad, our head brewer's co-owner's home recipe. And he actually would brew it through a pumpkin. So again, scaling up to, from a 5-gallon batch or a couple gallon batch to a 500-gallon batch, or now we do 2,000 gallons. Can't really run that through pumpkins.
No, you're
Can't really toast all the
That's
coconut
crazy.
you need for Coco Loco.
And I think that's another thing to highlight is that Chad's still with you guys.
Chad
And
is.
I don't know if we had Steve in here when we were first setting up, and he's doing inventory today. but he's our, first chef from 16 years ago, and you got
Wow.
Chad for 14, 15 years. I mean, it's amazing, kind of the similarities.
It really is. We are so lucky that we discovered, that sounds bad, found Chad, met Chad through the homebrew club.
Okay.
And then kind of at our local pizza joint at the time, everyone kept saying we needed to meet him as we were, there was rumors and talks that we were starting a brewery, and we met him.
We were
and-
telling everybody we could find. That's the reason there were rumors.
Yeah, because we were, we were
Do we want to
desperate.
do this?
Yeah.
Do we not?
Are we
I don't
crazy?
know.
Talk us out of this. And we met Chad, and instant chemistry, especially with Todd and him just going back and forth about home brewing. And I'm sitting here drinking because I'm like, I don't brew.
And amazing that like he's like grown with you guys and probably start off making those small batches and now he's making 2,000 gallons, you guys said.
Yeah. Well, and now he has 2 brewers under him. It's changed so much. But what I love about Chad is he's not like a blood child, but he is a family. He is family.
Mm-hmm.
He is like our child. We treat him like our child in a good way.
Yes.
Love
As well
him
as
to death.
business
Not
partner.
like
As
I mean,
business
it's
partner.
both.
Yeah, he's always acted like an owner, treated this place like an owner. So a few years ago, we gave him ownership. He deserved it.
That's
that's
incredible.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Well, so distribution seems like something that has really morphed over the years. I feel like when we all first started in this game of craft beer back in 2009, 2010, it was very much the breweries. You didn't really, maybe you had a tap room like to taste beers, but it was more about creating beers to send out to restaurants.
Right.
And then you open these tap rooms that were like congregating spaces.
And super profitable.
And then it moved
Selling
into
a beer on site is,
Yeah.
Big difference.
is the
big
holy
difference.
grail.
And then you moved out to grocery and everything. I mean, that has changed so much. Is there anything you feel like you would have done differently then versus now as far as distribution, or do you feel like it's just kind of the path that it
I
took?
think the path that we took was the path that was available at the time.
Yeah.
And you have to live in the time that you're in. You can't live too far in the future or too far in the past because things change so much. I think we always intended to be a local option for growlers, for the crepe cellar or any other place that happened to be nearby, and to also have an opportunity for people to come by and see the process.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of the tap room. It wasn't so much a profit center. It turned out to be pretty good at that, but an opportunity to introduce people to the product.
The ethos that you guys had, I've been super loyal and have never forgotten, because as more and more breweries kind of came about, growlers, I think we decided, well, we could have we only have 14 taps, and we could have 14 taps of just Charlotte beer,
Right.
but it was kind of like you can kind of get that anywhere in Charlotte.
Right.
So we were trying to curate the best beer from around the whole country for whatever day of the year and whatever season we were in. But you guys also were so loyal that I remember you guys would shut your tap room down early because you didn't want to take business away from growlers and all these other places. And it was so thoughtful, because I mean, that's like your most profitable piece of time, but you guys would just super thoughtful the way you went about it and the way you did your distribution, which is why you guys were the only local beer that we had on tap for forever.
I think I
Thank
remember
you.
that.
Thank you.
And you're absolutely right. We didn't want to overstep. Our goal was to serve you folks, the restaurant industry. There's so many opportunities in the Charlotte market that we saw at that time, and even way more now. But at the time, that was always the goal, is to get the product out to the people, and you were the ones that do that. We might see a few, 20 or 30 or 50 or 60 people a day. You see a lot more than that over the period of the week because we have smaller hours. But at the same time, when we shoo them out the door at 9 p.m., we can tell them, oh, guess what? You're looking for some oyster shooters? Let me tell you where to go.
And
It's
guess
right
where
down the
Chad's
street.
going to be in 30 minutes.
Exactly. Go pick his brain.
So how is
Exactly.
the distribution of how your sales breakdown is between tap room, grocery retail and restaurants or any other channels generally? What does that look like?
Oh gosh, I should have probably looked this number.
It's okay. It's all right.
Our tap room is a tiny proportion.
Yeah.
Probably 10%.
Yeah.
Grocery is the biggest. So to-go products.
And you're in North Carolina and South Carolina, is that right? Or more?
More. We're in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia,
Portions of Georgia.
portions of Georgia, portions of Virginia, and we're getting ready to enter portions of Tennessee, well, statewide in Tennessee.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. There's a need that makes it sound like everyone has to have us, but there's a desire from the distributors because their consumer base, their restaurants, their grocery stores have been asking about hop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
Mainly, and they reach out to us.
Is that your number one hop drop?
By far,
By far.
our number
Okay.
one.
And did that win gold?
It won gold in 2014 at the
Yeah.
World Beer Cup.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Very quickly after we started canning, which just blew our mind. And
It's an an amazing beer. It's
Thank
still
you.
one of my favorite
thank you.
IPAs.
Quick funny story about that. So the World Beer Cup was in Denver, I believe, at that
It
year.
was.
And I was not there. Todd was there, one of our brewers, and Chad was there. And we only got one ticket to the big show, the awards ceremony. So we
It was
sent
a
Chad
small
Yeah.
hall for this awards presentation.
at the
and,
time.
And Chad had been sick, unfortunately. He'd had a stomach bug or something all week. So this is his 1 week of to be in, nirvana.
Right.
All beer related, all beer people, beer all over the place, people to talk to, his rock star beer fame, his heroes are there. And he didn't get to do any of it. He was in a hotel room all week. The awards ceremony is at the very end. He was rallying at the very end. So there was no doubt we're giving him the ticket. He's going to go to the awards ceremony, and Bart, our other brewer, and myself, I think we went to Great Divide and a few other places, and we were just enjoying the last night and not expecting any awards or anything like that.
Not
But
even crossing our mind that we would win an award, let alone the biggest award. Because IPA is the biggest category.
For sure.
Obviously, winning gold is the biggest category on the biggest stage.
It's the most prestigious.
Yeah, and we thought Todd and Bart thought they were being punked when the bartender
Yeah.
goes, "You're wearing NoDa shirts. I think you just won an award," and we're like, "Sure."
No, we didn't. No, my phone would be lighting up if we won an award.
Yeah, see?
and,
It's not
and
lighting-
it's not lighting up.
So now
Oh,
you send Chad to every award.
I know, really,
Yeah.
really.
I wish it worked that way every single time.
Yeah.
But it's sort of it's the luck of the draw. We're sending our beer from North Carolina to Denver to be judged, and that's a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
It's a very fresh product. It's like making bread and then trying to have it
It's not
judged.
pasteurized.
No.
Right. Later,
No.
yeah.
And
It doesn't travel well. So we kind of feel like we have a little bit of a handicap to begin with. So that's one of the reasons that we don't expect, is probably as much as maybe some breweries from California or Colorado do. Some of those are a little closer.
And
Right.
what
As much success as we do.
what hops? Remind me what hops go in Hop Drop.
It's a Citra based and an Amarillo based, but there's more hops in it than that. But those are the ones that are
that
probably
really,
most
really
prominent.
pop out. Yeah, because I always had an affinity for the Citra from
Me
from
too.
that.
And unfortunately, they were so rare when we started making this beer. We'd be able to make it about once every 2 or 3 weeks versus, maybe once every few days. And they just weren't available. They were so much in demand, and the supply was already spoken for in
Right.
contracts.
We didn't realize when we
Right.
started that their hop futures were a thing. We needed to get in on the market a couple of years ago.
yeah, 4 years
a couple
before
of
we
years
opened.
before we opened. We had no clue. So we had this great beer, Hop Drop and Roll, that was a homebrew recipe everyone loved, and we couldn't get the hops.
source.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
That's crazy.
So now I think right now we're working on 2028 hop contracts.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
that's
gonna
incredible.
tee Todd up here so he can kind of
Nerd out.
no.
Oh.
He can kind of rip on me a little bit.
Yeah. I think I know
So-
where this is going,
I know,
actually.
he knows exactly where this is going. So I don't even know what year it was. Probably it was a year or two after we opened here, so it was probably
it's like
pretty
12 or
early.
13,
2012. I'm taking the certified Cicerone test, and had studied a little bit, but I was a little behind the 8 ball, and I have about a week away. And Colleen's taking it with me, and so I'm like, okay, let's go over to NoDa Brewing and have Todd just show us around, and at least like kind of get an idea. And there's Colleen's taking all these notes, and I'm just kind of walking around, looking around with Todd. But I'll let him.
Well, not only were you looking around, you were answering the phone, you were taking calls, and Colleen's taking meticulous notes, asking detailed questions about the grain and about the hops and the yeast and different flavor profiles and fermentation temperatures. And I remember later that evening, Susie's like, "Well, how did it go with Jeff and Colleen?" I'm like, "I think Colleen's going to kill this test. I think she's going to be great." Jeff, I don't know about Jeff. But the one thing that you did, and that's what we do when we are in similar businesses or similar sensory programs, is you take what you know about food or wine and you apply it to beer, and you don't get intimidated by the test. So you did know the stuff, but the times that you maybe were a little hesitant or a little probably wondering exactly what the right answer was, well, you took your base knowledge of wine and food and applied it to beer, and you got through it with no problem. So that's pretty impressive.
You just needed to get a B or B minus.
Charlotte's first certified cicerone. I think you had to have an 80 to pass, and I think I got an 82.
Well done.
Jack.
Which
Good
is like, that just shows I didn't study too much. I didn't do too much. But yeah, I think one of the things is that people get caught up on, they ask like super scientific questions, and instead of really just understanding like, what does CO2 do at different temperatures? They're trying to memorize things instead of just having like the more holistic understanding of the concept. Because I think
and it does translate over. Wine and beer are very similar. Off flavors in both are a lot of times the same. Sometimes they're opposite. But it's interesting to compare the two. They're both organic ingredients. Like grapes or barley or wheat. It's all grown in the ground, and it comes from unique places around the world. And we have to kind of take those different, terroir, and we have to work with that. And what our customers expect is a beer that tastes the same all the time, even when the initial ingredients don't. So that's kind of that's the difference between being a home brewer and a professional brewer, is trying to figure out how to get back to the goal and remembering that your initial starting place is going to be different each year depending on the ingredients.
How hard is that to get? Because you guys went from a lot of home brew recipes to 2,000 gallons. So like, how hard is that to where you're like, wow, I nailed this? And I know we have problems in production too, where we're like, this is a great dish, and then we can't make it, and it falls apart. But I'd like to hear from your side what goes on.
Yeah, I'll take part of this, and then you can go. We were smart enough to know what we didn't know, and we knew that you didn't take a 5-gallon batch and multiply by X all the ingredients to get a 500-gallon batch. So we hired a professional brewer who helped us through that. And it's not that easy. And we're very lucky that Chad is so amazing at what he does and is more passionate today than he was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But he understands how to adjust on the fly, which just blows my mind.
Yeah, right. It almost sounds like it's a little bit more like baking.
Yeah, it
where
is.
Where you can't just scale up. You have to, it's so nuanced.
That's probably a really good connection. We found that we're much more efficient in a professional setting than we were at home. But when your ingredients are only going to cost you $10 or $15, what's a quarter, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, when you're putting commas in those figures, now it makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. But come with efficiency comes the efficiencies aren't uniform across the board. The barley might come through with a much better effective rate, but the hops don't. So you have to adjust different amounts. You can't just multiply by 5 or anything like that. And then mostly it's trial and error. You can get a professional in to kind of give you some advice, but until you play with your pots and pans and do it in your way, in your building, you really don't know what you're going to have.
When we do a lot of R&D testing, I like to take all the ingredients that we're going to use and weigh them all, and then we kind of go and play around, and we like get the recipe where we want it, and then we go back and kind of weigh those ingredients to kind of, see where we were. But one of the worst ones was we were using Calabrian chili oil.
Ooh.
And so obviously when you're putting oil in the pan, you're just like coating the pan. But if you're making a small dish, it's usually fine. But then when somebody scaled it up, like 20 times or 30 times, all of a sudden this 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil turned into a cup or cup and a half of Calabrian chili oil. And I'm like, gosh, we can't make this dish. Why do we keep messing it up? Like we gave you the exact recipe, and then we go over and look, and there's a guy with 3 cups of oil, with some onions, and we're like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, we realized a few years ago that so our system is a 60-barrel system, so we brew about 2,000 gallons at a time. And we realized we couldn't afford to do research and development on that big of system. So we bought a 5-barrel system, and that is basically Chad's pots and pans now. He does all his experimental testing new hops, testing new yeast, testing everything. So some of our new batches, that's where it comes from.
You're still making 150 gallons, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
You are.
Definitely.
It's not an insignificant amount, but at the same time, it gives, and Suzie can talk to this probably better than I can, not only does it give us the R&D opportunities, but it gives us opportunities to connect with the community, because now we can do a charity event. We can make a beer for a charity. We can be specific to some restaurant chains who want to do some in-house white labeling brands or something like that. We could do those opportunities now that we couldn't do before, because we just didn't have the scale, the production scale didn't fit.
Right.
So we can do those now. It's really exciting now when we can bring a home brewer in who won a contest, and he can brew his new home brew on our big system, or I should say on our pilot system with Chad. And still he's going to have a lot of cans to take home to his family and show off. And it's fun to do those type of things. And that smaller brew system gives us that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So we've been through a lot of changes over the last 15 years. All of us being in business together in the same, in F&B here in Charlotte and throughout the country. But what would you say is kind of the beverage industry right now? Like, what is happening right now? Because I know we're seeing a lot of dynamism. How is that looking to you all?
Beer is shrinking. And it isn't just beer shrinking, it's wine shrinking, it's spirit shrinking. People are looking for healthier alternatives, whether it's they're not drinking, they're going to hemp-based products, THC, sparkling water. The young kids that are turning 21 and are older aren't drinking as much. They're really thinking about what they're putting in their body. So we have had to diversify. And we're very fortunate that Chad, our two of our kids who help run the brewery, Matt and Jacob, are open to trying new things because they get it. We need to diversify or die.
We are in the same boat.
I think Jamie Brown might be open to trying some new things. I think there's someone that has a very tight diet that she doesn't eat any grains.
Right.
She's gluten-free, and she also doesn't have any sugar. And so here's a new product that you guys have that has no additives, no sugar, and you guys put awesome flavorings in.
I was at Fresh Market over in the Dilworth neighborhood, and I came across your end cap there in the grocery aisle, and I was like, what is this? I swear to you, I didn't even know it was yours. It was your Happy Bird brand. And I was like, this is such cute packaging. And I was like, look, Jeff, it has no sugar. I should try one of these sometime.
Zero ingredients.
Zero everything.
Because I think one of the things, as someone who doesn't drink at all, I struggle sometimes being social.
Right.
And, I'm sitting there, yes, I'm having my water. Everybody else is imbibing, having wine and beer and everything. And sometimes I just want to fit in. And that sounds so lame. Like, why do I feel like a teenager and want to fit in? But I love the notion of it. And I think the way you have it set up, you've got the 5 milligrams and the 10 milligrams so that you can kind of choose your dose. So we've tried the 5 milligrams, and I thought they were fantastic because, especially it's
lavender lemon. Yeah.
No, I like the ginger, the lime ginger one. That's my favorite.
That would be my favorite too.
I like the lavender.
I do too.
That
Yeah.
one I get a little bit more flavors that I don't necessarily, but the ginger,
ginger.
lime, goodness, like yeah. But it tastes to me like a soda water, like I would have, normally. But it feels like I can be more social with everybody. Like I'm also having a drink.
Right. Well, and a lot of people, you'll see the same thing. Like you'll see a THC can in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like you're at a party with your people. You're
Yes.
imbibing in the same thing they are, which is wonderful.
I love the branding though. You guys did a great job with that.
Thank you. That's our marketing director was amazing at that.
And quite honestly, you're our market. Young professional women who
He just called me young.
yeah.
I love him.
Isn't that right?
He's staying on the show with
Right,
us
there we
every
go.
day.
And
love him.
It fits the market. It's the people who are purchasing the product. A lot of times in the stores are generally driven females. They're the ones who are making those purchases, and they're concerned about, if they have food allergies or some foods just make them feel poorly. This is going to remove all those allergens or anything like that. And then again, there's no reason to have sugar in a product like that.
Well,
Right.
that's what I think, but you cannot find stuff like that. And that's what I think is so brilliant about what you've done is like, and we're working on our cocktail program too, to add more, I'll say, yes, we have THC drinks across each of the spots, but we're also looking at these wellness drinks that have maybe some components that are actually healthier, but you
Right.
have like 3 or 4 ingredients in your drinks.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We have some cocktails now that have, we're adding magnesium to them and adaptogens, and we're really trying to think holistically and health.
And it
healthfully.
is that female purchaser a lot of times who's just maybe doesn't want to wake up in the middle of the night or have a hangover or anything like that.
And
a lot of
we've-
those-
we've
and the
also-
men drink it too. They just usually follow the lead of the female that
Okay.
they're most connected with.
She's making the decision and
yeah,
then
she
for
goes,
them.
try
She's
this.
putting it in the cart. Yeah.
Okay.
We've also
Interesting.
had we're going through a little process that we're lowering the sugar content of all of our cocktails that we're putting out.
That's
So,
great.
And I think that's where the taste of our staff has gone. And so when we go to these tastings, we're kind of like, well, no, let's just move this to the taste of the staff and drop all the sugar 5 or 10%. So,
Yeah, and I think we had a leg up. Understanding beer, knowing what we were doing, Chad really had a leg up on a lot of the competition that was out there on the major stage. He understood how to get what we wanted easier than someone else. So he
Okay.
got how to do it without sugar because we don't add sugar to our beer. So
Right.
he
Right.
understood the flavors that we wanted and the end goal and
It's
got
so
us
much
there.
more nuanced. It's not just covered up with sweetness.
No,
That's
it's
what I
not.
love.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. So I think a good topic as we get to the close here, but you guys are just in a big transition, and I think we're a few years behind you, not too far behind, but you guys are in the process of kind of handing everything over to the kids and moving on, and you're doing something on the side. And
when we started this in 2010, 2011, and we were probably sitting in that booth right over there discussing it.
We were.
I think the biggest fear at that particular time was if we fail, no matter how hard we work, if we put our heart into this and it just doesn't work out, and that's certainly a possibility, what does it look like? And we decided that we could live with that.
Yeah.
We'll be 50 years old, and we have professional talents. We can go out and get jobs, and we can support ourselves, and our kids will be fine. We had not looked at an exit strategy back in
Right.
2010. So
It
that's something
sound-
we've had to develop over the last few years.
Yeah, it sounds really weird, but back in 2010, 2011, we used all our 401k. We found a provision in the 401k code that allowed us to self-direct without paying penalties. So we didn't think end game. One, what if we were successful?
What if we actually did
let's
this?
leverage
Yeah.
those 401ks.
What if we fast forward to 15, 20 years and we're at retirement age? What are we going to do?
Right.
So thankfully, a couple years ago, we started thinking about that and brought another one of our children on board. And he had a business background, and he is now our president. Like Todd said, a couple years ago, he retired from the brewery and went back to flying.
Yeah, it's been great. And the nice thing is there was overlap. I was still there when Jacob, our youngest, came in, and I could see he had great ideas, he had great instinct, and he makes great business decisions. But at the same time, with me standing there, he always felt this overwhelming pressure to maybe listen a little more to me than I should be listened to. And when I stepped
That's
away,
great vision that you have and understanding. That's amazing.
We had to.
we had to. And so either I needed to take a different role in the brewery, and my passion at that time was building the brewery, not so much running the brewery. I enjoyed the technical aspects of it. The people component was more challenging for me. And motivating them on a different level, which you guys have struggled, I'm sure it's a struggle
Yes,
you have every
always.
single day. How do you reward? How do you critique? How do you, emphasize improvement all the time? And that was really difficult for me, not as difficult for some of the other team members in our group. So stepping away and trying something different or something the same for me, in my case, going back to aviation, made sense. And Susie will tell you, we had a little airplane at the time that was very expensive to operate and to maintain, and we could sell that airplane, and I got my flying fix flying somebody else's airplane, so it was a lot more affordable.
It was wonderful.
It was
So-
it's like a boat, right?
Right,
Exactly.
it's like owning
The
several
day you
boats,
buy it and
maybe.
the day you
Yeah.
sell it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So what does growth look like from here for NoDa Brewing? I know you're kind of stepping away a little bit, and Susie, you still have a big role there. What
I
does it
am.
look like going forward?
Yeah, so I'm just dipping my toe in retirement. I still go into the office one day a week, work remotely from home the other days. Growth is diversification, like I said. We actually are brewing other people's beer.
I was gonna ask
okay.
about that because we had an opportunity to pick up a space and maybe do some beer stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna contract.
He said,
I'm
he
not
goes,
brewing.
I would contract with
I'm
NoDa
calling
Brewing
Todd
if we
and
did that.
Suzie and seeing
Yeah,
if they have any
no.
capacity.
So
Excuse me.
we brew for a couple different locations or a couple different breweries. The biggest one is Full Steam. We do all their big production beers. They lost their original facility, and trying to find something else. Rent is expensive, to purchase is expensive, especially in Durham for them. Charlotte for us, it made the most sense. Synergy, great partnership. So we do that for a couple breweries. We do a couple THC beverages for people, and we actually do RTDs, ready to drink,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
for a company.
You might
like
have to
coffees or
Alcohol.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's,
TK
Like a
Mulligan.
cocktail. Okay.
Yeah, we're
Are you
familiar
guys-
with the term RTDs, but for those else, outside,
ready to drink.
it's a ready to drink alcoholic beverage. Right now in North
Vodka-based.
Carolina, they have to be sold through the ABC
Okay.
store, so they're slow to probably take off in North Carolina. But other states that have different laws, they're a lot more prominent, and you'll see them in grocery stores and such.
Right.
I went they have the liquor based and then the malt based, and what's the term for the malt based? But we just had those. We had a birthday celebration. We had a long boat ride, and I brought those, and they were lovely. Everybody crushed those and some Happy Birds.
Yeah, so we do the liquor side
Okay.
for TK, and it's vodka based. And again, just like I said, for Happy Bird, we're taking our experience and understanding the brewing process and placing it in this. And they put their trust in us to do that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That is. So, are there certain things in the beverage industry that you feel like people should be super aware of, or maybe they're not thinking of right now that they
Well,
should be thinking about?
I can think of one in particular, and that has to do with the THC and CBD drinks and edibles and things like that. I don't partake because of my job, but at the same time, I support everybody else's opportunity to choose that. And we're coming up on probably in November. Is the drop dead date in which we're kind of the grandfathered clause that allows us to do what we're doing right now
The whole
evaporates,
country.
and we need to get some legislation through the United States Senate and the House that will allow us to do that. Now, alcohol is regulated on a state basis, but because of the THC, this has become a federal issue. So no matter how much support we may have in Raleigh, and I think we do have some support in Raleigh, it's also convincing the federal government too that this is safe and effective. It can be regulated. In fact, it needs to be regulated.
It
Right
does,
now, it's
yeah.
kind of the Wild West. We see beverages out there. You were talking about our 5 and 10 milligrams.
Yeah, I love
We're-
that they're so clearly labeled. We do all of our cocktails at 5, and we use pre-portioned
Right.
amounts in there so that people, you know exactly what you're getting. There has to be, that was part of the reason why I loved that it was yours, because there was an element of trust.
Exactly.
Because I'm afraid of doing things like that. I don't use drugs. I don't really take medicine. I
Yeah.
was scared a little bit, but
She doesn't do Advil. So
yeah,
this is
I
a-
don't
this is a
do
big
Advil,
step.
so I you know,
The hard
in
stuff.
trying this, but I wanted to make sure there was something that I trusted, and I think that was the reason when I saw that, I knew trust came to mind, and I knew that it was done properly.
Right.
And
And
that was very
sourced
important
properly.
to us.
Yeah,
We see products out there that have 75 milligrams in it.
Oh
And
my
that's
goodness.
a monstrous dose for somebody who's not aware of what they're getting.
Well, especially
So
people,
we
aren't
support that
aware.
regulation
Yeah.
and that framework of laws to sort of protect the public and also set the expectation of what this industry looks like.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
that's
point.
not helping your sales either.
I don't think
if,
so.
If someone's being irresponsible and
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
that.
So what are the potential outcomes of that legislation that's coming up? They could say, no, this is not allowed. They could
Nationwide,
say,
no, this is not allowed. What we're hoping is
Yeah,
they're
what's
going
the
to do some common sense in the government and give some nationwide laws, and then each state take that and run with it. So
Right.
Okay.
hopefully nationwide will have a cap.
And what happens right now is if nothing
Right,
happens,
that's
it
the big
goes
problem.
away.
It goes
the
away in
opportunity
November.
to do this goes away. So we
if
need
nothing
legislation.
is done, it is gone.
I see, I
So
see.
That's kind of what
You need
we're
something.
what we're up against.
But there's got to be a lot of money in that for the government too, and potentially for the state to regulate and all that. So I would think that they'd be driven to.
You would
Do something?
think, you would hope.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll see.
wait and see. Yeah.
But I
We'll wait
think
and
the
see, too.
the big learning here though is just how much you guys have kind of like us have learned, have pivoted, have gotten better at your craft while sticking to the let's put the best ingredients in, let's do everything homemade, let's put out an awesome quality product that deserves gold medals at
Right.
every beer competition.
Stay true to your
and,
roots.
And but yeah, you guys are distributing, doing brewing for other people, making THC drinks. I mean, it's amazing the way that you guys have grown and
And we're so excited to see, the restaurant opportunities that you guys are putting out for Charlotte. And we watched Supperland being built, and we listened to and I read your blog, and the challenge of doing it during COVID. And we understood the cost. We were building an expansion at our brewery here during COVID, and it was 3 times more expensive than it should have been. And oh my gosh, I don't need to
terrible.
tell you that. We're still kind of licking our wounds from that, and that was several years ago. So we've really had to pivot, but it's so exciting to see how some people in the restaurant industry, you guys in particular, not only did you pivot, but you made it a point to launch from, and where others are still kind of licking their wounds a little bit. And, a lot of the breweries are doing the same thing right now. Some of them are a little reluctant to change. You have to change. And when you recognize that your market is changing, you have to change as well, or you're going to be a dinosaur.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
probably the biggest advice to any brewers out there, huh?
It really is.
Because it's not the best time to get into it, but unless you go into it with that change mindset.
You have to go into it with that change mindset for your company, for your employees, for your future. You don't have to just do beer. There's other things out there. That might be your favorite beverage of choice, but you can do other things.
Yeah. And many of those smaller breweries have become restaurants too. We support them in that move. It wasn't the right move for us. We love food.
although I hear your pizza's fire.
We hear your
Well,
thank
pizza's
you.
awesome
It
over at
is.
NoDa at the,
That's
at the
great.
tap room.
It
We've
is.
heard that.
Our pizza partners do a great job at that. But at the same time, we know our lane, and we know that if we're going to go out and try to motivate people and bring them in with food, then we're not the right people for that. And we recognize that right up front. And we try to stay with what brought us to the dance, and that's beverages. And we, originally beer, now seltzers and THC beverages and RTDs and things like that. That's where we're going to be focusing. That's where our ingenuity is. That's where our knowledge is. And we can sit back and appreciate the restaurateurs who bring these fantastic restaurant concepts to Charlotte. We go out and we really enjoy them, but we also don't have the pressure of having to replicate that too.
Right.
No.
And I sit here going, we have 2 monumental projects we're working on right now, thinking, gosh, we have 0 exit strategy.
Yeah, we really,
Sometimes that's best.
I don't know. But well, thank you so much for joining us today. This has
Thank you
been
for
such a
having
treat.
us.
I think I could talk to you for hours about
Yeah,
it
it's
all.
been a
but
fun.
Thank you. This
Really
is
has
I'm
for
been.
glad
being
we
here.
got together
I
again.
know,
Good
it's been
seeing
too
you
long.
guys.
It's
I
been
know.
too long. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was so awesome to kind of just relive the last 15 years with them and talk about both our origins and where we've gone and how much we've learned.
Yeah, we truly started right about at the same time, and I think they have taken a very similar approach as us as far as adaptability and just constantly
They
changing.
got in like we did. They didn't know anything. And so
That's
I
right.
think that's part of both of our superpowers is that we're not afraid to keep learning because we didn't know what we were doing to start.
Yeah, and you're just constantly changing and navigating, and no time has that been more important than right now. And
For sure.
I feel like it's literally been just the last like handful of years that it's like feels like everything's exponential, and they're staying on top of it.
Yeah, they're
And
doing
they've
an
that
amazing
that
job.
idea of diversification is something that I think a lot about for us too. Obviously, we have diversification in terms of spots and neighborhoods here in Charlotte, but we're in Charlotte. That's not diversified. Do you know what I mean? And we're in the restaurant business, not so diversified. So it's, for us to think about that in terms of how do we make sure that we are constantly looking to diversify what we do.
And I think it's so cool that now they're looking at their legacy and transferring things over to their children. That puts a new lens on things for us as well because we haven't been there yet.
Yeah, we are not in that place.
But I'm 50 now, so maybe we should start looking.
Jeff
at that.
had his birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff. He's 50 now. But yes, it's looking at legacy. What are we leaving behind? What are we building? And how do we pass it off in an appropriate way when that time comes? I know it's not here yet. Thank God we're not quite there yet, but it will come, and it'll
It
come in a
will.
blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So just starting to be mindful of that.
For sure, but I'm so glad that they spent some time with us and we got to have that conversation because it was really cool.
It really was. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. You can follow us here on our podcast, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
And look for Fork and Hammer on YouTube.
Oh,
as
yes.
well.
We also have Fork and Hammer running on YouTube, launching every other week out there. So join us there, and you can follow along with our team there.